Hello and a warm welcome as I continue to explore Koh Chang. If you have been to Koh Chang before, you realise that 95% of the people will turn right when they get off the ferry. That's where the majority of the nice beaches are and the larger villages and towns.
This is overlooking White Sands Beach.
We'll be turning left to the area that was first inhabited, Silik Fat. There's a gateway to Koh Chang National Park, hundreds of islands, and I'm going to travel as far as I can along the northern end of Silik Fat Bay, over to Long Beach, a nice sandy strip of beach that will get me close to the island of Koh Ngam. On what should be a 60-minute bike ride. And I will be kayaking out to Koh Ngam Island. It is uniquely shaped, with a sandbar at its narrow centre. But I'll tell you now, it doesn't go according to plan.
Now you got the story, y'all.
Time for an early morning swim. 7 AM. I got the beach to myself. Got a lady jogger. That's it.
An early morning start from my digs in White Sands Beach, the Tuk Tuk Resort, a 10-minute walk down to the sea. An early morning swim. On the way back to my digs, I called at my local coffee shop. And then from my resort to the bike pool. I hear of people getting problems hiring the motorbikes in Koh Chang with expensive deposits on the bike. But there's been none of them problems for me. They know who I am. I just tell them my room number and grab a key and help myself to a bike. And they charge you 250 baht per day. You're not going to win any time trials with the bikes, but they do the job, get you from A to B.
It's a Honda Click 160cc. 350 baht. You can get bikes for 200. They're smaller. And the easiest bike ever to hire out. Still haven't paid them money yet. Just says pay the money when you bring the bike back. No documents. But he does have a copy of my passport because I'm staying here at the resort. And one thing I had to explain was the black key fob, which I thought I'd lost because it's that small and light. I knew it's in the room because you've got to have it in your pocket. Got to start the bike and it starts off Wi-Fi. But yeah, you should always take a video of the bike anyway. But the guy here is so laid back. And he's not in at the moment. He says he'll be here at 8 o'clock. It's 9. There's no sign of him. Well, there's a reception there. If you wanted anything, you just go and book yourself.
Just arriving at Koh Chang from the northern end, turn a left at the ferry. It is a quite built up area here, mainly with Thais and Thai businesses. And following the coast road up the eastern side of the island, you'll see plenty of properties there. Again, mainly Thais. As the sun sets on the west side, that'll be the hottest and the brightest, with the afternoon temperatures peaking around 30 centigrade. The Thais don't care much for the sun, so you'll find the most of them on the east side of the island. And sandy beaches are few and far between, as you can see here. So you'll have Thai shops on this side, Thai supermarkets which will be different to the 7-Elevens. And even the hospital for the island is on the east side. And you will come across some glamping type resorts and quite low prices when you first get onto this coast road. As you approach Silik Fat, you will get your high-end resorts with decent beaches and on-site entertainment. And they have to try harder at the side of the island. For the tourist, there's a lack of watering holes and diners, as well as club life around here. But you do have quite a few piers that can take you out the national park and the other islands for snorkeling and diving. but when the sun goes down you're pretty much restricted to your resort. There's a couple of waterfalls up on the east side, with Tan Mayom being the biggest and the one that's worth a visit. And we have talked about these on earlier vlogs. On the way to Selek Fat Bay, we will be driving past Wat Selek Fat. It's a new temple which was finished in 2013. Except the Thais there don't call it a wat or a temple, it's a bot, a church. And it's well worth a look around. They spent £280,000 on the structure, and there are 3D tapestries inside, and plenty of mother of pearl and gold leaf inlays. And there's also a meditation area there, with English instructions on how to meditate. And the whole church is wrapped by a giant dragon, more like a two-headed serpent. And the two heads greet you at the entrance. And it is a good stop-off point. There's plenty of little Thai businesses there. You can get something to eat, something to drink. And while you're there, you're not too far from the mangrove forest. Just follow the signs for the Selek Fat mangroves. There's an office there, but it's long since abandoned, and it's free to enter. It's a concrete boardwalk, and quite a few of the concrete boards have broken and fallen away. But the concrete frame structure is quite solid. Just take care. And if you're there on a bright sunny day, it's quite a spectacle. And there's plenty of foliage, butterflies, bees, birds to catch your eye on, and crabs if the tide's out, as well as mudskippers. And it leads you down to a small jetty, and this is the top end of Selek Fat Bay, and you look out over the islands. And while your maps, especially Google Maps, will say there's only 2 islands in the bay, you can see there's quite a few islands out there. And from this area you get to choose whether you follow the north coast around the bay or the south coast. I'll be taking the northern route. Selek Fat Bay is the earliest inhabited part of Koh Chang. From the bay, the island wasn't really populated until around 1945. Although for hundreds of years it was a harbour for the Asian pirate fleet, and they were chased out during World War II. The bay is well used by the Thai fishermen. There is also piers for the tourists to go out to the nearby islands on day trips, as well as snorkeling and diving. It's very picturesque and is lit up at night time, and there's a host of apartments on the pier to let. Google Maps will show you where they are, and then link you to the various sites to book them. Or you can try the social media pages, and also around the bay there'll be some larger resorts that have built their own piers and have things like infinity pools. And you cannot see the island which I intend to kayak out to, because the larger island is in front of it. Driving to the mouth of the bay from the mangroves, you lose the wide tarmac road. It becomes more of a dirt and gravel track. I followed the road as far as it would go. You look for a right turn off the track, and the final one was Honeymoon Resort. But Honeymoon Resort doesn't hire out kayaks. So I turned back and went to the next resort down, the Journey's End, and they did have kayaks. There's some interesting birds. There was a bird of prey and it wasn't the usual eagle. Shoot off straight away. Light blue coloured jay. But no matter how good your camera is, every time you get it out, they're gone. But that looks like the island I'm going to head for. I'm going to find a kayak and there's none here. This is a Koh Chang, normally the rocky and stony part. The honeymoon beach resort. So it was high tide 2.5 hours ago at my side of Koh Chang, and the sea was rough coming in because the wind's blowing that side. Here the rainforest and the highlands
stop the wind, so it is like a sheet of glass. These islands that form the national park, and that bigger one over there is going to be Koh Mak. This one on the left will be Koh Wu. There's only like 3 little strips of beach you can land on. Each one's got a little resort with cabins, but no luxuries like aircon. And at low tide, one of these islands here has a sandbar on, which is very nice. Just have to find a way to get out there. Yeah. Very nice. So the island I went to was over my shoulder there, and it's a 4-hour trip altogether. But there was quite a bit to say on that island. And the place I hiked the kayak from is called Journey's End, and I'm glad it did end, because I went about 1 kilometre down the coastline because I missed it altogether. It seems to have seen better days. A bit of a pier at one time, and some buildings on there.
About now, I'm thinking wrong island. So I will show you where I went wrong. So I did a bit of research after I'd been out in a kayak, and there's more than one track to take you down to the mouth of the bay. The track I was on, I should have turned left at the Rainbow Happy House. That track will then take you to the tip of the bay in a resort there, and to the right a kayak rental place. And Ngam Island is just 200 metres away. So welcome to Koh Mak, an abandoned island. It'd be nice to get the drone out. It'll be the first flight of 2025. It is more difficult to take drone footage and video footage due to people's privacy and a certain USA blogger who's been upsetting the Koreans, Japanese and Thais, looking for reactions on his YouTube feed. This must be how it must feel, with his phone out, going past a junior school.
So it was Journey's End as a resort where we found that kayaks. There was three left for hire. I don't know how many we've got in total. I've only ever seen 2 more out on the sea. And 250 baht, they give you 3 hours. And they said the sea's pretty calm to what it was like this morning. And I made it. I don't know, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, the island needs some brave souls. Come over here and gather this up and have a big campfire.
Well, I did find interesting. It's not the beach I've seen Paddy come to. Because that one you go through on a sandy bit of beach and the sea is at both sides. Well, this one's got a complex and I've been right through it. There's buildings and buildings and buildings. There's a stream that runs through. I thought that's nice for the restaurant. But really it tops up the swimming pool, which hasn't even got a paint on the tiles in. The rooms are full of mattresses that still got the wrappers on. And the aircon, where the roofs haven't collapsed, still look good. I mean, the beds and mattresses are there, but there's hardly no other furniture.
So if you don't want to miss this, add a like and please subscribe.
There's a villa over that side. A couple of double-storey buildings here. There's a stream down below, runs feeds off the pool which is up there. There's a big pipework feeding it, and pump house and stuff like that. Even the linen room, and there's just shelves and shelves of all the linen still on. So it wasn't even put onto the beds because our bedrooms are just mattresses, and the beds just piled in the corner and everything set up. They put a pier in. It's a good pier as well, concrete pier. They're going to last. Where I've come from over there, it's a wood pier. It's a shaky, it's out. I don't think it'll last more than a few years, but this one's gonna last. Where have I come from? Come from over there. That's Koh Chang. This one here is at the end of the island there. That's another island up here. Maybe the one that Paddy was on was one of these islands out there to the side. Koh Mak's out that way. Hope that again tomorrow. Getting picked up from his resort. There's more islands out there. I think I'll just make it go with this one, that's it. Like I said about this side being a stony and rocky side, you see all the rings here, they're placed down, the sand put in behind them, so this is an imported sand beach, and it's obviously tide's going down, but it is, it's good quality sand, apart from all the rubbish that's been left. There's 3 kayaks on here now.
Coming across this abandoned island wasn't on my itinerary, so I didn't know anything about its history, or even if it was private property.
Because the wind's on the other side of Koh Chang, so it gives you a chance to get out of these islands in a kayak. And we came over from here. I came over from here, and it's just the flow of the water looks like it's going out, so you've got to come in it like a Z shape, otherwise you're just fighting against the little waves, not big waves but little waves. So just head out to the big island here first, that big island there, and then come in, and the waves will just push you in. You can see the way the waves are coming. And I almost brought all my snorkeling here. I haven't brought my actual snorkeling mask. But it is high tide. I think that there's a bit of a reef just out front of the shallows there. But in this place, been there not due in 1984. Was like so many things in Thailand, and they get built without planning permission. This place, looking off the tiled roof, stuff that's grown. It's probably been there 30 or 40 years.
While I was there, further 2 kayaks beached up, and there were 4 people in total on the island. And I did ask about this on my return to the kayak to the Thai owner. They took me to a nearby beach house where I met an elderly ex-NHS manageress. She took early retirement in 2008, the reason being the global collapse of the economy, and she reckoned she could see it was the end of Europe, which has probably been proved right. She witnessed the island in full use, seeing the boats go out from the mainland but also from Koh Chang to the island.
We have some more people joined. You know, guess what language they're speaking.
But when Army took control of Thailand in 2014, one of the property deals was under scrutiny, especially where politicians were involved, and the owners took an extended vacation along with Captain Sinawatra.
Yes, yeah, it's a good strong pier. Concrete foundations. Also, someone put a lot of money into it. Made us off the beaten track, because this side of Koh Chang, it's pebbles and rocks, and the sandy side is on the other side. You get this down here called Pearl Beach. You know, pearls are found off the edges of cliffs and things. They made up some traps in there, and net traps for lobsters and crabs. I see one of the kayaks that was hired out. Past him, and he had, I think he was a Thai guy, he was out fishing on his fishing rod. And they might have them traps in there as well. That's a Thai fisherman. Got half a dozen rods there.
The rapid decline followed as the workers and the guests stopped arriving. The only time it was used was nearby resorts ferried their guests out to the pier for fishing, to go snorkeling and use the beach. To get there now, it's a case of kayaking.
Yeah, see the concrete collapsed there, and the sand's just washed away from under it. The city down spots. We've got accommodation up there. We've even got the trolley there for going to the pier and bringing your suitcases in. Some scenery staging may have been done at that time. However, the beach was never kept tidy and these tours blocked off. What I noticed was a cut where the sea was coming in. It must flow through the middle. That's been a restaurant part there. A nice bit of cool. The sea flows in and out every tide. It comes in the part where the part of the kayak and it goes out that way.
Well, that's it, unless you want to see more. My intended island would have given me around 10 minutes of video footage. Looking at the video timeline of exploring this abandoned island, it took about 1 hour.
And the swimming pool. It's a good sized pool.
There's talk of this being a freshwater reservoir, or fresh water against the raw concrete. It's not a good recipe. It may have been painted like you would a swimming pool, and over time the paint has just fell away. But fresh water, the island will be home to 1 billion mosquitoes, and I could see by the channel that runs through the island, at high tide that will be full of seawater. The pipework that links the two would fill up the pool at high tide, and at low tide it could be pumped out.
I wasn't expecting to find this on this island, but saying that, this is not the island I want to go to. This has just been an extra find.
There is a path that circumnavigates the whole island, but that's well overgrown. So not knowing the snake or spider situation on the island, I left that path. So I'm about to show you more of the abandoned buildings and the history of this complex, which sprang to life around 1990. The Koh Chang resort was a place to be in the 1990s, the most exclusive resort in the area. A private island that was owned by the governor of Trat province.
So there's another building like the last one. Got a boardwalk that runs onto it.
And this was before the tsunami, which directed a lot of tourists to this part of Thailand. So there was no infrastructure and there wasn't even a car ferry onto the island. Just dirt roads around the coast. The guests were all Thai and they shipped in by boat from the mainland. But in the early 2000s, a Thai conglomerate bought the island, as well as a nearby island and the land around Long Beach, which you can view from this island.
So these look like the elephant's ear plants. See them in the gardens in Thailand. I think they'll dangle in the wind and they'll just struggle back and forwards like that. How big they are. This is the inside of that like villa type one. And actually got headboards. I'm surprised the Thais haven't just came over and helped themselves, but all inside is missing out that one, so maybe they have taken back in the kayak bit by bit.
But no developments happened around Long Beach that I'm aware of. And this is the same conglomerate that's linked to the Galaxy, my previous episode. And since my last episode, the ex-Prime Minister of Thailand has been jailed. So there seems a little hope of any of these ghost hotels and resorts being kicked back into life.
There's something making a noise in the leaf litter. Underneath litter. This looks like the accommodation side. That number 16, so there's 16 apartments. Yeah. The mattresses are still wrapped up. The aircon's in. Electric light but hasn't had its final fix. Lights is in the ceiling. Maybe an aircon unit up there. Good. That's the glazed windows. Purple toilet. There's a big washroom. Big washroom, sink, mirror. There's no cooking area. Good artwork under that one. See how the rain's been coming in right down. Yeah, it's like not the full furniture, mattresses there, held up. There's artwork on that one as well. That's number 13. And if you want to escape the country and somewhere cheap to stay, off the grid, all you need is like outboard motor, a dinghy to get you back and forth to the mainland. If you get yourself down to Dover, there's any amount there. And there's a tree starting to grow. Put the river tree. That's a big pile of mattresses. You can see that the plastic on this was crumbled and deteriorated. The plastic's on. Bed linen. Well, there's your TVs. So I guess what decade they're from. Well, yeah, looks like a linen room for doing the laundry. That would be nice. That would be in a restaurant. Yeah. These rooms are probably for running the hotel or the kitchen. No, that's good. With the linen again. Yeah. A few tables in. I'll do some research on this and see.
And it's strange because anything like this back in Europe would be quickly overtaken by squatters and kingdoms would be formed. And not to mention the amount of scrap dealers that will be coming. And some of the aircon units fitted in to the ceiling weren't even connected to the electrics and they still look new.
There's no couple there, but that's mainland Koh Chang there. Well, they look like shower rooms, bathing rooms. So we're dipping the sea and get showered off in there. This is another building, that's a building we've just been inside. That's another building there. Get that back there. It's got more accommodation again. The palm tree popping out. I don't know much about palms, I don't. But I mean, that's like 2.5 metre tall. Pine tree. Oh, want something that grows quicker, not there. That's popped up, so there is. That looks like a 20-year-old. Higher than the building. Maybe that's the villa type. There's the owners that are building it probably have that finished first and supervise the rest of the build. And the stairs are well overgrown. Let's see if we can find the way in. It's definitely reclaimed by the jungle. The roof's caved in.
An afterthought for this abandoned island was that there was no monkeys here.
But again, cinder topping. Put this in. Just slightly real soft in the place I'm standing now. We'll have to look at the top floor. Again, sitting purple suite. Looks like in the eaves of the roof here. And that part is less than 5.5 foot. That's in better nick. The roof's kept it dry. It's been a hornet's nest there. God, they've gone. Yep, it's a really nice view. See the nice beaches over there. Pretty much the same spec. But we've got some furniture. Yeah, still got some furniture.
But if you're looking at staying the night on the island, there's plenty of bedding. And there's plenty of beds. And the beach could do with a rake and a fire to get rid of the flotsam. But one of the pastimes of the resort would be to take the guests by boat and go snorkeling at Koh Wai, a nearby island. And Koh Wai has 3 small resorts on and is a famous getaway place for tourists. No Wi-Fi and 0 electricity until the kitchens fire up the generators.
Yeah. Sunshine in. This is dry, the roof's done a good job preserving. Someone's been helping the parts off the aircon. They fix her up a top floor with a solid roof. 4 rooms. A little private beach down there with the lamps off the pines.
Turns out the rubber tree was already occupied with big biting red ants.
Yeah, still nippy red ants. It's filming me past the rubber tree. So that looks like it's been a stage. An outdoor vent area. Trees have overgrown the pots, ferns. If that's been the bar area, you see it's collapsed. Another restaurant outside eating. This is on the other side of the island. It's a restaurant at each end. Maybe that's where the kitchens are. That concrete, that's ready to go. So is the wood. Yeah, we'll just see them as a kitchen. I noticed in the tree, so it is winter, so you know maybe things are hibernating. That's one nest out there. What is that? it's bees. It's bees or wasps. That's about 70 centimetres up the bottom. You just follow the branch down. And satellite dish. Beams. Good mahogany beam runners. And down there. It must have collapsed. So got on the bottom. Yeah, looks like that's been like a bar area, drinking area. You can see by the floor not going in there. So the island I went to was over my shoulder there, and it's a 4-hour trip altogether. It was quite a bit to say on that island, because I went about a kilometre down the coastline because I missed it altogether.
So maybe if I'd swapped my sunglasses for my driving glasses, I may have seen the building beneath the trees. So a planned 200-metre kayaking turned into 4 kilometre.
So I'd paddle down the middle channel away from the rocks, and there's piers out here. And I'd look at this island over here, and there's 3 structures on there. And past the pier that sticks out, thinking I was down there. That was land at the last resort there. Get my backpack out and check the global positioning, and then double back to here. But at high tide there's not much of a beach here. You see the tide's going down now. But it's in a mangrove. You got mangrove there. You got mangrove there, and you got trees over the resort. That's Journey's End. But I got a nice shake in pad thai pork. That's made up for it. So now I'll head back to my side of the island.
Instead of a few hours of daylight to get back to White Sands Beach and the sunset.
And we got first meal of the day. Pad thai pork. HP brown sauce on. Pineapple smoothie.
It's an hour drive back to my resort. I'll be going for a swim in the sea, just to cool my legs down. After 2 hours in the kayak, I didn't put any suntan lotion on my legs, and they are now bright red. On the right hand side is White Sands Beach. That's the first resort area as you come off the ferry and turn right. Tall building with a pointed roof. It's not a resort, it's an entertainment complex. Called Sabai, that's Thai for relax. And the Mak resort on the right. And plenty of caps and tourist shops, ATMs and tour booking offices. My resort, the Tuk Tuk, is just left here. And the road facing that turn is a tourist booking shop which comes in very handy, as I do prefer to book in person. I know exactly what I'm getting. And that's where I've arranged my trip door to door to Koh Mak. But first to my favourite coffee shop. So yeah, it was a sunset feel on this day. There's just too many clouds out there. The reason I picked White Sands Beach over Kai Bay Beach is they've got everything here. And it's a lot busier here an hour after sunset. More busy than the whole of the east side of the island. People prefer to dine out, especially on the beach or out in the sea.
An hour after sunset, still got the beach to myself, but there's not much of it left. It's for the peak of high tide. But it's still warmer in the sea than what it is in the air. The air's about 26, 28, and the sea feels warmer. That's a Mak resort. Sit at a table, have a bean bag.
And if it's high tide, shoulder to shoulder, walk along the beach looking for a table. However, there's plenty of tables inside the resorts. And further along where the road climbs up to the hills, there's a restaurant open there built out into the sea.
Yeah, I get to know the fire show people. They'll be in their 50s now, and they're just teaching the children how to do it. Most of them look like we're still at school. The Sabir bar with the fireworks show, 8 o'clock every night.
Now Sabir stages 2 fire shows at 6 PM and 8 PM, and also the Mak Resort with the one at 7. So I'm just waiting for them to come along to the Mak Resort, and that's where I'm dining. But I'm realising now that the people I knew that used to put the fire show on, the younger generation are doing it, and they're even teaching their children. And so I've seen the children doing a bit of practice. I watch the professionals do it. But now the performers tour along the whole beach, stopping at the various diners. And payment depends on tips. So if you're there dining or watching, please feed the tip box. Performances like this Dragon's Breath is not cheap. And the smell in the air reminds me of that movie. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Stir-fried chicken with cashew nuts, and you get to eat the plate, because that's edible too. Plenty of chicken, tomatoes, and then yeah, that's your sticky rice. So that's a sabai. The peaks, like 4 peaks. Just one road. And this is how busy it gets. So if you're hiring a bike out or a car out, yeah, it's not scary. And most people that do that, before it gets dark, they put the bike or the car away, and they're just on foot.
And this is the main road, the coast road that runs around Koh Chang. And as you can see, it's busy, but it's not as mad as Pattaya or Bangkok. And there's 2 tuk-tuk buses passed in 1 minute. So south on this road, the road climbs up into the hills. It's still a White Sands Beach resort area. Resorts there are a bit cheaper, but you're on top of the cliff. And maybe 20-minute walk down to the beach. And way up on the left, Paddy's Irish Bar is a good landmark, but is now closed. It didn't survive COVID. So you have massage shops up here, and some Thai sit-down restaurants, which are very affordable and it's very nice food. A hard time competing with the dining experience of being on the beach. You also have a group of 10 bars, and it's known as Little Pattaya. And that gets really busy later on at night. And there is a complex that we've always went to, used to be known as a one-stop. Just off the main road, 2 blocks of businesses. The Rock Bar has always been one of our favourites. Good Thai musicians play here, live music. But in 2025, the Thai owners have been replaced by Europeans, wall jumpers. And the form of music is an app where the phone links to the TVs around the room. And I've got that back in my room at the resort with the smart TV and my phone, and the beer's much cheaper. Coming out of there and turning right to the other end of the block used to be another live music bar. Now that closed before COVID, never reopened. And also the food places that went near the dinosaur as well. But that area is filled up with little traders selling street food. which is handy if you just want to snack while you're walking. It does draw a big crowd, and that's for the Muay Thai, and there's a stadium there. Because I've only got the custom from November to around March, and then the tourist business drops off. So as I said in the previous episode, book now to come over for the winter. The next episode will be the final morning on Koh Chang. Look at the resorts and the beach, and then make the journey to Koh Mak. The ferry will be around noon, as you can't check into your resort until 2 PM, so there's no point getting there early. And Koh Mak is a lot quieter than Koh Chang and less infrastructure. And while 800,000 people visit Koh Chang, a lot less will be on Koh Mak. Look, everywhere, look at this. Look at the buggers.